I'm with Ahmad, a campaigner for Lift the Ban. Could you tell me a little bit about your story?
Hi, I'm Ahmed. I am originally from Ethiopia and I was an asylum seeker.
How old were you when you first arrived in the UK?
17.
And where were you living when you were an asylum seeker?
I was in care the first time I came here, and then I became a care leaver. It was quite a tough life. I started what call it crash pad. So that's like an emergency room with nothing, not even fridge, but just a bed and a room. And it was quite tough. I used to live there a month and a half, and then I moved to hostel. And the hostel life, like when you are quite new to the country, and hostel life is quite difficult as well.
Did you arrive in the UK alone?
I did, yeah. I used to live in Calais, France, and then the government brought me here. Local authorities took my responsibility the first time, and then after that, now I live 1625 accommodation, so it's quite a long process, but I still did good. But there are many young people who like to rebuild their lives and forget all like the negative background that they had in their early lives and in their back homes. But there are barriers that we couldn't deny. Don't know nothing much about the country. It's like you are somewhere like that you've never been before, and everything is complicated, and even your system is complicated. You're not like the same as the other people around you, and it's quite hard.
Did you feel you received any support from the government when you first arrived?
Yeah, and especially like local government, I did, because local government took the biggest responsibility when coming here. I live with social services, and social services helping me a lot, and charities as well. Like there are many charities like 1625 who gave me like my flat now. 3 years before I used to live one room with no fridge, and now like I've got my own flat. And
How long were you an asylum seeker for?
It's nearly 3 years. So those 3 years, it is hard to be an asylum seeker and wait the decision. So you don't know like where your future is gonna be. Will you be like stay in the country or There are like many young people who, because they can't live in this small amount of money, and there are like companies, I would say, or like opportunistic employers who try like to take the advantage from the asylum seekers, and then they employ them, but they give like small, very, very small amount of money, and it is also like risk their lives because they have nothing about them there. If they got injured themselves, if there is something, there is abuses.
Very vulnerable to exploitation.
Yeah.
What was it like not being able to work?
It's hard. You can't help yourself. You're not eligible like many things. Wherever like I tried to apply, it was like I haven't had the resident permit, so you couldn't do this thing. And it has more like depressions and distress and all these kind of things. And as much you wait and you couldn't walk, you can't help yourself financially. So the money that you got from the government is not enough. And you can't do nothing but just wait.
What's it been like since receiving the right to work and becoming a refugee?
Relief. And you feel like you are a normal life now, and you are a normal person now. But before, like, it was like just for someone who is like in a big house arrest.
What are your plans for the future?
My personal plan is like to continue my education. I'm going to apply next week, Bristol Uni Foundation year, Social Science Foundation year. But there are like many courses, like access courses, that if you are an asylum seeker, can apply these courses. So I'm imagining like if I were still asylum seeker, I couldn't even continue my education. So my biggest plan is to help the people. Yeah, that's why I chose to learn social sciences and to be in the social and in the communities and help them if I can.
I live in a National Asylum Support Service accommodation, only after being made homeless for over a year, spending my nights sleep deprived in a 24-hour McDonald's and sofa surfing. I was very scared, alone, and exhausted. I received National Asylum support of £37.75 a week. This is meant to cover my food, my clothing, my transport, my phone bill. Would you be able to live on £37.75 a week? And I have volunteered for 20 to 35 hours a week for the past 2 years. Imagine working hard and not being able to have a payday. I consider myself a strong and brave woman for what I've achieved so far, but I'm yet to call myself an independent woman. So many women become vulnerable and at risk of exploitation if they're dependent on others, when they cannot provide for themselves. Trust me when I tell you that I know this from experience. Lift the Ban will allow people like me to provide for themselves so that we can socialize and integrate into society.
I'm with Maddie, Student Network Coordinator of STAR National. What do you think the positive impacts of lifting the ban will be?
The government and the country stands to benefit from it, so it's not even like something that would be a drain in any kind of way. It like makes complete logical sense for the government to lift the ban. If you can't even feel like you are able to make any kind of positive contribution and you are forced to live off government provided money, it just seems absurd, especially when there have been surveys and research that have shown that a huge majority, like over 96% of asylum seekers, if given the option, would work. It seems ridiculous that the government is saying no, live off our money instead. It doesn't make any sense.
You're talking about the importance of sharing on social media.
So I think the most important things for people to do are making sure that their friends and their families know about it to start with. I think it's so key that we are reaching out to a wider community other than the people that are already like on board and already support it. We need to be reaching out to other people who maybe haven't even heard about it.